how are you guys kind of fitting in and I guess differentiating yourselves?
Yeah, I think it's simple. Varonis, Cyrus of the world are predominantly DSPM or data security posture management tools, and we are complementary to that, right? Because what they do is discover, classify data, provide you insights on where data is, and potentially provide some risk analysis on it, and then obviously gives you an inventory of the data stores. But the line is drawn very clear. They don't protect, right?
Yeah.
So I think
They give
obviously
visibility.
right, the visibility
Yeah.
aspect. So the visibility or the insights and the action that needs to be taken, there's still a chasm, that needs to be crossed. And even though there are some acquisitions that they have made where they're adding capabilities like DLP, data loss prevention, which are installed at the edges, at the egress points, and sometimes at the endpoints, and their predominantly function is to alert on any sensitive data leakage or block. Right. So where we came in is in the aspect of how do you move from insights to action in a single automated function, right? Because when data is at rest and within the data stores, that's not where the risk lies, right? We can put, and build bigger walls around those data stores. But the moment the data moves away from those platforms, that's where it starts to become vulnerable. And particularly with AI, that movement has amplified and essentially a lot of cases uncontrollable, right? Because before legacy applications were designed with very solid guardrails in what data you collect, what data stores you integrate with, where do you send that data, store that data, process or share. With AI assistants, co-pilots, AI agents, that landscape has increased, and then some of the times autonomously, these data retrieval processes are happening. So the focus was on when the data moves, how you enforce the action or the policies at runtime. So when we created the new category, as we call it, Runtime Data Insights and Protection, or DIP. So the entire operation is about not getting an inventory of where data is stored, but how do you get insights when data starts to move at runtime? And then you have that ability to enforce that action immediately. So while DSPMs are discovering where the data is, and then of course highlighting or providing that insights into a dashboard, and then sometimes people have to prioritize where the highest risks are, then implement additional tools in order to reduce that risk or remediate that risk. Privaclave is doing that at runtime in both cases, providing you the insights of what's flowing, where it's flowing, where it is flowing from, what's the context behind this flow, and then intelligently making those runtime decisions in what to desensitize and stuff. In fact, we are integrating with DSPMs in a lot of cases, with Microsoft Purview being one of the industry standard products. A lot of enterprises use them. So we consume their metadata in order to find, where sensitive data lives. We are even appending or labeling with Microsoft Purview's MIP labels and SITs, so that downstream, if some data flows and Privaclave has classified at runtime, even edge products like DLP can read, those MIP labels and SITs and make some decisions either to alert or to block. So it's a ecosystem that it's all interconnected. But when it comes to like, oh, I have a Varonis or I have a Cyra, why do I need Privaclave? These are two different things, right? Yeah. So you need, from a data governance perspective, the DSPMs to kind of understand your data landscape and where the risks are, where we are storing what type of data. But when it comes to protection, you need solutions, like data desensitization solution, data tokenization solutions, where Privaclave or some of the incumbent data tokenization solutions are already there. We just do it much better, and we automate the whole thing. We do it frictionlessly, so the customers or the enterprises do not have to feel the pain in order to persistently protect data.